This is ANN News Brief.
I'm Lucy Adeyemi. Ethiopia's Human Rights Commission says it is deeply concerned about two recent waves of ethnic violence in the west of the country. The Commission has now called on the government to set up an independent investigation on killings and displacement in Benishangul Gumuz regional state and the security events unfolding there. An official in charge of security in the region blamed opposition parties for the violence, but denied local media reports that more than 80 persons had died in the attacks. He did not give casualty figures. The UN says there are now more than 1.2 million internally displaced persons who have fled their homes as a result of conflicts in Ethiopia. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has said in a tweet that trouble in different parts of the country was being perpetrated by groups aimed at overturning the reforms journey. In another news, state television in Ethiopia's Tigray region has reported a call by the coalition of Ethiopian Federalist Forces for a National Salvation Congress to be convened to facilitate the transition to an elected federal government. The coalition held an election recently in defiance of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government and the National Electoral Board, which postponed all polls until next year because of the coronavirus outbreak. The Islamic State group IS has claimed responsibility for an attack on 6 aid workers in Niger. IS militants say they were behind the killing of the 6 French aid workers, their local guide and driver in Niger last month. The 8 individuals were killed on trip to see some of the last giraffes in West Africa in the Kare National Park. Reports at the time said they were shot by gunmen who arrived on motorbikes. The AFP news agency reports that the militants said the attack was a major security lapse for France. A statement from the group has been published by the US-based site intelligence group which monitors extremist violence. Militant groups including Boko Haram operate in Niger and neighboring countries. Violence by groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group is reported to be on the rise in the Sahel region. France has been leading a coalition of West African and European allies against Islamist militants in the region. We'll be right back.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Botswana government has ruled that wives can now own land alongside their husbands for the first time. Until now, the country's land policy stopped wives from owning land if their husbands already had some, as only unmarried women or the wives of men who did not already own land were eligible. The discrimination had left millions of women without access to the land where they live and work. President Mugwesi Masisi said the amended law now gives right to wives to be eligible for allocation of one residential plot at an area of their choice within the country on both state land and tribal land. Rights groups have welcomed the change, saying it was long overdue. The president said the new policy will also protect widows and orphans who head households and are in need of land for residential purposes. That is ANN News Brief at 11. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Lucy Adeyemi.